Hello everyone, welcome to our machine learning channel. I'm your host Ruchika and today's topics are model selection and curves of dimensionality. Under model selection, we'll first cover how to hold out a set of data for validation so that once you train a model, you can validate the trained model on the validation samples. After that, we'll cover k-fold cross validation followed by leave one out cross validation. In this code, I'm going to use iris dataset, which is easily available and it contains three classes of iris plant, which includes iris setosa, iris versicolor, and iris virginica. We'll import this iris dataset using sklearn.datasets. After loading this iris dataset, we are going to assign the iris plant feature values to the variable x and the iris plant target values, which includes iris plant categories, to the variable y. And here I'm going to print the shapes of the variable x and y, and we can see that there are 150 instances. Each instance contains 4 different feature values which belongs to the sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. In the variable y, we can see that we have 3 unique values. Actually, these 3 plant categories are encoded as 0, 1, and 2, and we can see that we have 50 instances of each iris plant category. Now we also need a classifier to train our model. So in this case, I'm going to use k-nearest neighbor classifier. We are going to cover this classifier in detail in the upcoming lectures, but I'll give a quick overview of what this classifier is and how it works. This is the classifier which is based on distance between the nearest neighbors. Let us suppose I have a data which contains two categories A and B, and I have a new data point which I'm not sure about the category of this new data point. I want to identify what would be the category of this new data point based upon the categories of my training data points. So we can identify nearest neighbor of the new data point using Euclidean distance or any other distance metric. So let's suppose k is equal to 5. That means we want 5 nearest neighbors. So visually I can see that these would be the 5 nearest neighbors. So we can identify what are the categories of these 5 nearest neighbors of the blue data point. These 3 points belong to the category A and these 2 points are from category B. So depending upon the majority data points, we can assign category A to the new data point. So here we can see that this is shown in green. So this is what a k nearest neighbor is. So in this example, I have said that we are going to use k is equal to 5, but in this code I'm going to use k is equal to 1. That means I just want a single nearest neighbor of an unseen data point or a new validation or a testing data point. So whatever the category of the nearest neighbor is, that category I'm going to assign to this new data point in the nearest neighbor classifier if I'm going to use k is equal to 1. Now we have loaded data as well as we know which classifier I'm going to use. Let's go to the first topic, which is validation. As I've already mentioned that we want to split our data into two chunks, one for training, one for validation, so that I can train my model on the training set and validate the trained model's performance on the validation set. For this, I'm going to import train test split using sklearn. So from sklearn.model selection, we'll import this in build function. Then I want to split my data into 60% training and 40% validation. That's why I'm calling this function and passing the x and y, which includes the feature values and the target values, along with the train size, which is 0.6 if I want to assign 60% data to the training and 40% to the validation. In this case, my x train and y train will have 60% of the data, and x validation and y validation will have 40% of the data. Now I want to fit a model using training samples. So in this case, I have already defined my nearest neighbor classifier to the model. That's what I'm going to fit using the x train and y train, which includes the training data along with the target values. Then I would like to predict the target values of the validation data using xval. I'm not passing here the ground truth values, and this is what the model predicted after training on the training samples. Now I want to compute the accuracy. So there is another inbuilt function, accuracy score, which you can import using sklearn.metrics. And now I'm passing the ground truth validation values along with the predicted outcomes. And here I can see that 91.6% validation accuracy I have achieved using k nearest neighbor classifier if I have used 60% of the data for training and 40% for validation. So this accuracy is on validation set, that is 40% of the entire data set of iris, of the entire iris data set. Now we'll talk about k-fold cross validation. Let's suppose we have a data and we want to divide this data into training set and test set, and after that we want to have k-fold cross validation on the training data, and we want to find the parameters using k-fold cross validation. And once we have identified that, we can train a model and test it on the independent data set. So now we'll focus only on this part, which represents k-fold cross validation. Let's suppose k is equal to 5, so that means 5-fold cross validation. So what that means, we are going to have 5 splits of the training data. In each split we'll have 5 folds, which will be equiproportional, and out of these 5 folds we'll use 4 folds for training and 1 fold for validation. So in this case I'm going to use fold 2, 3, 4 and 5 for training and fold 1 for validation. Similarly in this case fold 2 will be used for validation and so on, and that will the average accuracy of this would be the cross validation accuracy, k-fold cross validation accuracy. In this case k is equal to 5. And this can be easily done using inbuilt function. Again, in Python we can import cross validation score to compute the cross validation score by passing the k, which is 5 in this case, and model is again nearest neighbor classifier. X represent the data points, training data points, y represent the target values. And here we can see that in split 1 we got 96.66% cross validation score from split 1. This is what we got from split 2, 3, 4 and 5, and we can compute the mean to identify what is the overall score across k-fold cross validation. Now our next topic is leave one out cross validation. It is a special case of cross validation where the number of folds are equal to the number of instances in the dataset. In our case, we know that in the iris dataset we have 150 instances. So in the leave one out cross validation, we'll have 150 splits. So we'll have 150 splits, and in each split we'll have 150 folds. That means one instance in each fold. So out of those, we'll use 149 folds for training and 1 fold for validation. In that way we'll do it across all 150 splits. So in this case I want to see the confusion matrix, so that's why I'm first assigning the I'm first creating a 0 by 0 a matrix of size 3 by 3 with 0 values, which I'm going to update as I'll do leave one out cross validation. So here I'm importing leave one out using sklearn.model selection. It'll give me the splits, as I know that there should be 150 splits. So this is what I'm going to get. In each split, I want what are the training indices and validation indices if my data is X. So I'll assign the training indices. So I'll find out the training and validation data in each split. So that's what I'm assigning here. And then I want to fit a model using training data, and then I would like to predict my validation uh, uh, validation category, and I'll update my confusion matrix accordingly. So for every split, I know that in the validation cohort I have only single instance, and I want to see what is the target value of that instance, and I am plotting here confusion matrix. So here I can see that I also want to mention that in the rows represent the ground truth values and the columns represent the predicted values. So here I can see that from the class 0 is correctly classified across all splits. In the class 1, 47 samples were correctly classified, and 3 samples were not predicted, so or misclassified. Similarly, in this case, we have seen this same trend as that of class 2. In this, we got 47 correctly classified and 3 misclassified. So here I'm finding true positive, which is nothing but the sum of the diagonal elements that were correctly predicted. So we can see that 144 out of 150 samples are correctly classified. So that is what our accuracy is, 144 divided by 150. So basically in leave one out cross validation, we have achieved 96% accuracy. So these were the topics for model selection. Now we'll cover the last topic, which is curse of dimensionality. In this case, first I'll plot data in different dimensions, and then we'll talk about what this curse of dimensionality is and how can we overcome this. These are the libraries which we are going to use for plotting the data. And let's suppose I want to sample 40 points in the range of 0 to 100. We can have any number of points. In this example, I'm taking 40 points. So in the variable x, I'm assigning 40 points which are sampled randomly between the from the range of 0 to 100. Y contains only 0 values. So we can use plot.scatter to plot this data in one-dimensional form. As we can see that there are some data points in the range of 0 to 20, some in the range of 20 to 40, and so on. So so all data points are in the range of 0 to 100. After that, we want to represent this data in two-dimensional space. So instead of having 0 for variable y, we want to sample 40 points again in the range of 0 to 100, and we are going to store this in the variable y. And then we can use plot.scatter to plot data in two-dimensional space, and we can see here we are also showing grid lines to represent the data and to see which points belong to which grid. And here this axis represents dimension 1, this represents dimension 2. Similarly, we can also have a third dimension z, which contains again 40 random points in the range of 0 to 100, and we can plot it in the three-dimensional space. Now let's compare these three data which we are showing in the different dimension space. As we can see, in one-dimensional space, data points were very close to each other. In two-dimensional space, we can see that data points were spread apart. In three-dimensional space, we can see that they are sparser than what we have seen in the two-dimensional space. So this is what the curse of dimensionality is. As the dimensionality of the data will increase, the data will become sparser and it will become challenging to fit a model on high dimensional data set, because then we need a complex model to fit on the high dimensional data points, as well as we need more data points to represent the data in the high dimensional space. So we do dimensionality reduction whenever we have data in high dimensional space, so that we can transform that high dimensional data into lower dimensional space. But these the dimensionality reduction, such as principal component analysis or other dimensionality reduction techniques, also take care of retaining the meaningful properties of the original data. We are going to cover the dimensionality reduction techniques also in the upcoming lecture. So I just want to mention that in the curse of dimensionality, the data point becomes sparser and it's hard to fit a model on the sparse data set. And to overcome this problem, we use dimensionality reduction to represent the data into lower dimensional space. That's it for today, and stay tuned to the channel. If you have not subscribed it, please subscribe the channel and hit the like button so that you'll get a notification once we'll upload a new video. Thank you so much.